Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Buildings and Grounds Committee meeting for Frederick County Public Schools. Today is September 23rd, 2024. Time on deck is 4:30 p.m. We have a motion before us. What is the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
I have a motion that's been properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now pass over to Dr. Hummer.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. So we have 7 items for you all this evening, and of these 7 items, 3 of them we are asking to get moved to the full board for approval. So first, we're going to start with our running items, which is the capital projects update and school projects. So please provide any questions that you have or any comments. Then one of our items that we've invited some folks from downtown, so thank you for Wyatt and John for being here. We're going to talk about the Brandy Lane Improvement Project, which is the road in front of, connecting the road in front of Shenandoah High School. We do have some arrival and dismissal issues there with that new neighborhood coming in, as well as some other logistics in regards to the entrance and exits of that building. So we're going to talk through that a little bit this evening as well. One of the first items that is up for motion to go to the full board for approval is the update on the Indian Hollow Open Space Maintenance Agreement. This is the one with the nutrition credits, right? Am I getting that right? Yeah, so we have an update for you guys on that in regards to what that is going to look like. We also have an update to the weapons detection system. So we have Mr. Thompson and his team here are going to talk through what that looks like. We also have some updates in regards to Millbrook because we rolled that out as well with all of the stuff that was happening about a week and a half ago. So we have some updates there. That will be also a motion for us to continue to expand those weapons detections to our other high schools. We also have a task order RFP process. This was a request that you all had about learning more about that process. And this is something, as I've mentioned to you over the last going on 2 years now, is that we want to provide you all with some updates and information in regards to some processes that we have and answer any questions. The last item that is up for action is the contract award for dry and frozen foods, which will provide you some information, and that needs to go to the full board for approval. So with that, Mr. Chair, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Goodwin and his team. Thank you, sir.
All right. Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Dr. Hummer. Thank you for the opportunity we have to speak with you tonight. At this time, I'd like to please invite Mr. Davis to come up and give an update about the capital projects we have going on around the division.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, committee members, Dr. Hummer. Just an update on some of the projects we've been doing. Talk about the fire alarm projects, Apple Pie Ridge, that job is complete. No issue there. Dow J's fire alarm is complete. There's a little bit of punch list there, but nothing that's outstanding or anything. But all in all, complete. Fire alarm projects for Armel Elementary School is complete as well. We rolled through all these fire alarm projects pretty well. Support Facilities West, that's not a school, so we did put that one last. We are waiting for the permit for that. Once we get that, we'll zip through that one pretty fast. Permit's still downtown waiting for approval right now. Stonewall Elementary, that is complete as well. Building automation installation, full school, Dow J. Howard is 95% complete. Apple Pie Ridge Elementary is 95% complete. Just trying to get them up and running. Apple Pie has a slow server, so it's just trying to get all the data and everything up and running into the system. So it's really tail end of these 2 projects, and we should be wrapping them up pretty quick. Electrical service cleanup. We worked with Ben behind me to do this. We're done with that. Mr. Atkins, you did ask for thermal reports on the panels. We have those. I can figure out how to share them with you. I will. I'll work with the team, figure out how to get them to you. No, nothing alarming.
All right. Yeah, just if you don't mind, just shoot me.
Not at all. Yeah. Dust collection systems, both schools, Jameswood High School, Jameswood Middle School. We are essentially done with them. We just have to work with the teacher to hook up the equipment there so that all the dust flows out into the dust collector. All the teachers like to move them around where they want their new equipment or their equipment and all that, so we're just working through that. Those are done. Exterior door replacement, 85% complete at Apple Pie, 90% complete at Orchard View. We're just waiting on the final shipments of doors to come in so we can finish those projects. Those were slow throughout the whole project. It's just nature of the beast getting the doors, so should working pretty good. James Wood Middle School field bleachers and the track overlay kind of go hand in hand. We started today, had a kickoff meeting to get the 82 footers installed. They're going to start drilling holes tomorrow at James Wood Middle School to put the footers for the bleachers. There's 82 of them. 41 of them go along the track side, so we're going to put those in first, and then we're going to come back, and then our paving crew can go ahead and pave, so we don't have to just, we have the footers, and we don't want to put asphalt down and dig up for footers and chop it all up and twist an ankle somebody running, so it'll be good. That's all happening now. We are looking to be done, late October with the bleacher install. Might push to early November, but I'm staying pretty confident for late October, so. And that's really it for me for this update. We're just pretty much wrapped up everything. As we progress through, I'll start putting more projects on here so you guys keep updated what we're doing. So, any questions for me?
Question for Mr. Davis. I got two quick questions.
Sure.
Just the fire alarm testing, all that went well?
Yes.
No interruptions, anything like that?
No, we had a couple conduits we had to move at Apple Pie that weren't conducive to the flow of the children, but other than that, it was fine.
Okay. Now, just for my knowledge and the public's knowledge, the permits that we apply for through the county, is there a fee associated with those, or does the county actually give us a break
We
like everybody else?
just like you and me going in there for a permit, we pay.
Okay.
So no breaks, no nothing to expedite them through faster either. So
All right. Yeah, just trying to pick up on all the hiccups.
I
Thank
hear
you.
you. Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. As you can tell, we have a lot of projects going on around the school division, and a lot of those are right on time. And so thank you to Mr. Davis and his team for keeping things rolling for us and for the support you all give to that department and to each one of us. All right, at this time, I'd like to invite Mr. Kenny to come up for school project updates, and he'll also talk a little bit about something going on at Dowell J that we're working on together.
All righty. Afternoon, everyone. Dr. Hummer, committee, chair. The photos will give you a brief update on James Wood renovation. Everything's moving along quite nicely. The first two photos in this thing is they got the arrows there. That's kind of where we left off at our last update last month. This is down in the band and choral areas. That was part of the alternate work we added. As you see, they're wrapping up completion. These pictures were taken last week, so this week the carpet now is down. Everything is finished, and we're doing inspections today and all this week. So the band and choral room areas and all the that connector hallway you see on the left area there will allow us to come out of the new media area. And we just had a meeting with staff up there this morning. They'll improve flow through the classrooms and get the students from one side of the building to the other without having to go up and down stairways and the intricate walk. So, but you're seeing some acoustical ceiling tiles. These were not in this type of environment up there before, so all this will have the new acoustics and what have you in these areas there. So go to the next slide. This is just a continuation of the choral room. Those risers did not get removed. They were requested to be left in, so you're seeing the new ceilings and lights and paint grids. So it's a total refresh there. All were back up and running. We got 2 new dressing rooms. There on the right hand, this is for the band and choral, so they could have a room to change into the band uniforms and choral uniforms and things like that as you need. This was also part of the alternate work on the right-hand side. So floor coverings down there, those rooms are complete. Everything's right on schedule, was to be turned over September 30th, and it's right on time. The area here is back. We went back and revisited just a little bit back where we left off before, the old tech ed and ag rooms. These rooms, some of the stuff has been painted for the first time since the school was built. Some of the storage rooms, those type of areas, the ceilings of the ag and tech ed classrooms, you can see it's a lot brighter, new lights and what have you went in there. So these were all ready and open for the first part of the year, but I thought we'd go back because the last meeting we had was prior to the school year starting. So all these areas are back up. The aforementioned, some of the dust collectors, that's where they're going in these rooms here that Mr. Davis spoke about there real quickly. So just wanted to show you a brief update on where we're at there. They're all kind of got them reorganized and back in shape there now. So, but they did do a wonderful job painting those areas. Again, the Ox Gym, as we had the prior meeting right before school opened there, you can see they still had some scaffolding in there, plywood on the floor to protect that and what have you. But now you see the finished product over there was open for the new school year. That's the Ox Gym. You see the new lighting, new backboards are in there, all new ductwork, heating, air conditioning, things like that. Some new storage rooms off to the end down there. So all that was back in operation for the school year, just to give you a little kind of where we were at last month, where we are this month. Again, the concourse level, it turned out quite nice. I think we get more comments about this area than anything there, and looking forward to the fall and winter sports that's going to be there. But as you can see, these areas here, they've got the trophies from years past back in all your display cases and what have you. So this is the areas where the students come in from in the mornings on the buses and what have you. The middle picture is the new Hall of Fame. Right now, they've got I think they just got the new P. Wendell Dick lettering up there for that Hall of Fame, and so they're coming along with that, and they've got their design of how they want that to look going forward in the future. But that area was finished, ready for school. That houses the new elevator. This also has the mezzanine where you can look out and look through the glass walls. So they're quite happy with this area. But as we go away from what all the niceties, we're back in the construction area, and we're back over, if you remember where the old library room was, right off of where the new cafeteria is now, back of the admin, that is now going to be the new community room. This area here is wrapping up quickly. These areas here have been accelerated in the schedule. They won't be finished in March, they'll be finished in December. So we're going to turn over the community room, some classrooms, some workrooms there, and also the upper level, we call them Area F, but it's all the south-facing classrooms that's up on the upper level. There's about a total of 9 classrooms that'll be turned over, plus 2 or 3 in this area here. They're about 3 months ahead of schedule. So work has progressed quite nicely. So the pictures on the left is the old library. You're seeing the walls, the masonry walls of the community room there. That's a connector hallway where you see all of us in our safety vests standing in. That'll connect right back over to the library, to the old library there. It's the cafeteria now to connect into the new library there. The photos on the right there is also part of that area there at the community room and the upper connecting hallways. Down below, where this here is our areas back where the science labs are classrooms now. These areas here will be completed in the spring, by March 15th. They're ahead of schedule by about 2 months. And so there, the rough ends, the masonry is completed there. So now we start working on those. And really, right now we're working on them, but they'll be wrapping up a little later. But you can just see the condition they're in now. This is all classrooms. This is everything's been stripped in here. We've asbestos abatement is completed. The floors have been stripped. The ductwork, everything is clean and ready to go. So everybody's going full force in there. This is the special ed part of this was the old cafeteria. And as you can see, new windows are in the outside, the new entry is going in, old floors, all the new plumbing's underground. These areas, this area here is the spring, it's part of the science lab turnover. These are the last 2 areas of the building that'll be completed. Again, just a few months early, but this is the special ed. So this was the old cafeteria and serving line is where this is here. These pictures are about a week or so old. This is the Family Consumer Science wing. This is facing east. This was also part of the teacher lounge and the old cafeteria where sheetrock is up. That sheetrock is finished now. Everything is wrapping up. This here area gets finished the end of October and gets turned over. And provisions have been made within the building. So as you come out of the media area, we do a split hallway. So workers are on one side and staff and students will be on this other side with secure access into these areas. So they'll start using these areas at the end of October. We move furniture the 1st of November. That was it for James Wood, and I'll come back unless someone has any questions. Now, the next slide you see there's the Dow J. Howard updates, another small project we have as part of us. So if you have any questions on James Wood, I'd be glad to. The general take of it is we're ahead of schedule. We're looking good on that, so we're good spot there.
Question?
That was my question, was the head of schedule. Where were
Ahead
we
of
on
schedule, yeah,
So,
we're bad.
yeah.
And when we go back to that, when we're talking about the community room, and that's right off the cafeteria, and then when we get that hallway that's right outside there, which was the old existing hallway, but all those classrooms there, some additional bathrooms, all that's going to be wrapped up in December. which is a good 3 months ahead. That was supposed to be a spring completion. So really good news there, that the work crews and all were willing to gear back up again to get on those areas because everything did flow pretty good there. So we're looking pretty good on schedule right now. And there's really nothing to hold us up. Everything's enclosed. We're buttoned up for winter and ready to go on that. So good stuff.
Two questions, or well, one statement and the other is a question, a hopeful question. The statement is, I appreciate you and your staff working with the music department to get those ad alternates done. I know that was a big driving force. They came in here like a mob and listed their demands. So I appreciate them advocating for themselves as well. My other question is, if everything in the schedule is moving to the left, will we have a final completion date for all of James Wood to the left?
Yes. As you know, you start demobilizing, and there's certain things that, we'll have the interiors done, and maybe not all the interiors will get used. That's up to the staff there. So we're pushing to get that. But then you got to clean up the site. You do final commissionings and what have you. And we're entering into final commissioning on some of the earlier phases right now. So the whole plan is, and real quickly, is we're going to start vacating part of the parking lot up there with the construction sites. We're going to turn over about 70 parking spots to staff so they can start renting them out to students and things like that. Everybody will be consolidated over in that southeast lot. And we're anticipating paving to be this week of spring break. So everything did accelerate there. You'll still have some closeout. Now, whether the staff will be utilized, it's hard to move classrooms and schedules and stuff in the middle of a semester and things like that. But yes, everything is fast tracking towards that. Winter break, we'll be putting the sprinklers in the auditorium. They've been very helpful with us, with Miss Legg and those people there to work around, performance schedules, training, practice schedules and stuff like that. So yes, we're pushing hard to be by around spring break, April, be wrapping up and just be a matter of demobilizing and cleaning and getting out there and just doing commissioning the last few months.
Awesome.
is where we're working towards. And it was a big effort when you brought up ad alternate. It is with working with our finance department, working with their staff there to satisfy everybody up there. So it was just more than a few, but everybody kind of did the things. And maybe we'll have some other good news to report too as we go along here. But everything's looking pretty good up there.
Thank you.
It's been an interesting project. Quickly, Dow J. Howard, I'll give a quick update on that. Bid advertisement started last week, as you can see, and bid opening is October 11th. I'm not sure how many participants we have, but this here is this says data and diesel lab, but actually that's, I believe it's going to be turned into criminal justice lab is where we're at now. We're taking the old, back in my day it was masonry lab, but I think it was a carpentry lab now, and we're splitting that up. As you see there, up on the upper left portion of the page there, you're starting to see a bunch of layout there for the different areas there. That's going to be the data lab. The bigger room to the right there is going to be this criminal justice lab. And with that, we displaced different ones throughout the building. Mr. Thompson could probably speak a little better to me how the different departments got displaced, but part of this grant also is going to allow us to put some new rooftop units in these other departments because of the displacement throughout there. So we have 4 other rooftop units going in and possibly 5 if the bids come in favorably. That's as an ad alternate over in the auto mechanics lab and some others there. So, but it's fully concentrated mainly right there. It gives a little better flow coming out of there, some doors, exterior doors. We did a full evaluation of the structure out there. We ran into the same design construction issues we ran into James Wood, so we've made you got to make the decisions, put rooftop units on the ground and things like that. But it's all working out pretty good, but it's out for bid right now, and we'll know how many responses we get. We have a pre-bid meeting this week, so that's it on Dow J. Howard, unless there's any questions there.
Any question? One question, and I know we talked about this in a prior meeting. I just want to kind of get everything, kind of wrap my head back around it. How much of this project is being completed by the grant?
You just asked the wrong person that question there. So I think the entire I might have to get Mr.
I'm
Thompson.
pretty sure it was all of it.
It was all of it.
It was all of it? Okay.
Yes.
I didn't think there was
That
anything.
was the only reason we were going to move forward is if the
Right.
whole grant was going to fund this.
Okay.
So, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
That's the part I wasn't sure of.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. And now, I'm guessing if those bids come in and it's over what the grant will allow, how would we adjust for that?
That's where you get into value engineering, and you start going back with whoever the successful bidder is, the lowest successful bidder, and that met all the criteria. Then we do a value engineering, and we see where we have to eliminate if it's rooftop units or something like that. But then you value engineer that from that point there to try to get within budget. Yep.
In addition, if I think I know where you're going with that question, Mr. Atkins, is that this is a pot of money that they are providing us, and this is one aspect of us spending that money. So the more dollars that we spend to build this structure, it's going to cut on how much we're spending for the actual resources and programming and such. So we'd have to talk through that. But these are dollars that we're going to receive over, is it a 5-year period? I think it was.
I believe that's right.
It's a 3 to 5 year period, and so we would have to go from there if it was a significant dollar amount. So hopefully with that, it won't get to that point.
Yeah, that's kind of what my thoughts
Yeah.
were around it, that there is no local tax dollars coming, out of this. So I'm glad to see that we're getting those grants and pushing forward with it. So I appreciate
And
it.
I want to be very, so that's a great question. As of right now, there is no tax dollars going into this, local tax dollars going into this. But after 5 years, after this program is up and running, and if these grants do run out, we would then have to make a decision if we want to continue with this program with local dollars or no longer fund this program. If those, because these are the grant dollars that the lab school dollars from the state, from BDOE, that was pushed from the governor. And we're very excited about these dollars because we're also getting the lab school for the educational piece as well. That comes next year. And that has been the ongoing question when we meet is, all right, we're going to blink, and it's going to be 5 years. And we'll be able to sustain this program in 5 years, but what's going to happen after the 5 years? And it's not just us asking that question, it's the entire state asking that question, because these lab schools are in collaboration with local universities. So it's going to be contingent on if they want to continue to fund it, or if they're just going to say, nope, we're moving forward, and it's now up to the locality.
But in the meantime, the construction will be done within those 5 years.
You got it.
And that's
It's-
not being taken care of by
That is
local tax dollars.
absolutely, yes, sir. Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you, folks.
I just wanted to say that I've been out to James Wood several times, and all the renovations, they look fabulous and outstanding, and you're all doing an excellent job.
Appreciate it. I'll pass that on to the construction group. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. All right, at this point in time, we're going to move into our new business portion of the meeting, and I'd like to invite up Mr. John Bishop from the county, and I know Wyatt Pearson is here as well in the audience. Want to thank these two gentlemen for the many ways they help us make good things happen for our families and for our students. John's going to talk with us about the Brandy Lane Improvement Project. So welcome, John. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Mr. Dr. Hummer, and members of the board. Fun fact about me is, aside from being the assistant planning director, and as our director, Mr. Pearson, is back there, as Mr. Goodwin noted, my wife's actually a special ed teacher at James Wood, but don't worry, because you all won the lottery on that particular transaction. You beat out downtown, as you call it. So with that said, this just meant to be a brief update on progress on this project. As we were giving an update to our transportation committee, they noted, where's the school board on this? And honestly, I didn't have an answer, because while we've worked, frankly, for some years with staff going even all the way back to the days of Al Orndorff on the access issues at Sharando High School, both entering in the morning, in particular entering in the morning, but also at dismissal. There have been many variations and plans over the years, and we did end up moving forward with this particular revenue sharing application, which revenue sharing, for those who aren't familiar, is a VDOT program whereby you apply for a project and you can get up to 50% in state funding towards your project. This particular project is to extend Warrior Drive down across the frontage of Sharando High School to Brandy Lane, which is currently a private lane, but then also improve Brandy Lane itself up to state standards and get it adopted into the public system. What this would do is, in addition to forwarding already a comp plan road, because Warrior Drive is eventually supposed to go all the way down to a future South Frederick Parkway and Double Church Road intersection, it would also give significant additional alternative access to the school, whereas right now your options are basically trying to work something out with the park to still get to 277 or your main driveway as you have it today. Frankly, this work predates the recent development activity that is taking place, but certainly has had an emphasis placed on it because of that development activity. If you could proceed the slide. This first graphic here actually shows your school frontage. And as you can see, we do bring Warrior Drive down basically straight along your property line to Brandy Lane, and the next slide will show Brandy Lane itself out to Double Church Road. The impact, frankly, to Brandy Lane itself is more significant due to the fact that that is a private lane not built to current VDOT standards, would be basically a reconstruction. We are talking about a $6.5 million project to accomplish these things. Our current VDOT award is 1.389. We did not receive our full 50%. However, the way that program works is assuming the Board of Supervisors were to go ahead and authorize the county administrator to enter into the agreement, we would have the opportunity actually at the next application cycle, which is coming up next summer, to apply for that amount, which we didn't get, which we would intend to do, once again, assuming the board actually gave that authorization, with the remaining funds coming from the county. To answer a couple. Oh, I'm sorry, and there's just a reiteration of a very zoomed-in picture directly out of our comprehensive plan that just shows that future plan for Warrior Drive to continue down across there. You see the southern pink line there right at the bottom of the image is that South Frederick Parkway, which I referenced earlier. To try and anticipate some questions, one of which I think we saw in the email was whether right-of-way would be required from from the school. Basically, it's a difficult question for me to answer right now for two reasons. One is that, yes, based on what this Fairfax Downs development has set aside, there would be enough technically for what we want to do. However, you've got transition areas to consider because, of course, we're building off of that basically cul-de-sac that ends right in front of you right now. So it's very difficult for me to envision that we wouldn't need a sliver in that location. And the other is the fact that while this is not a full 4-lane expansion at this point, long range, this is supposed to be a 4-lane road. And I know that gives people pause because it's across the front of the high school, but I'm just reiterating that's what the comprehensive plan is. And because of that, as we design that, we would want to be very careful about how we design that to make sure that when you come back with those other 2 lanes, you're not, once again, in a reconstruction mode that you're building onto instead of trying to rework everything. And since that actual design has not been done, since that would be done as part of the project, it's impossible for me to say today that we for sure would not need some right-of-way. Now, that said, I'm very comfortable saying we're not in a situation where all of a sudden we're asking to get into your parking area and that kind of thing. It's just, I don't want to sit here and say something that's not true. So. With that, I can take any questions you might have. Mr. Goodwin does have the generalized development plan from that, actually it's master development plan, sorry, from that Fairfax Downs development. You see that wide open and empty Land Bay 3, that's commercially zoned property that was rezoned back in the late 80s. And there's definitely activity going on over there. Actually, we are fully expecting at this point that I'm blanking out, it's like Spinning Wheel Lane or something like that, or some kind of an odd name that starts with an S right there where they're accessing off 277. We do expect that to become signalized. We know that developer's been working with VDOT trying to make that happen. Personally not thrilled about so many signals in such a short span, but as all county roads are state roads, I don't, as a county transportation guy, have really much of any say over that in terms of saying that's not allowed or is allowed. So. That's where that stands. I try and answer any questions you may have.
Any questions from the board?
I have one. And I'm sorry if you explained this and I just missed it.
No problem.
But I'm trying to follow along as best I can just from the diagrams. Where is Warrior Drive? Is it crossing 277 or running parallel to?
Currently, today, Warrior Drive does cross 277 and continue on north all the way up beyond Tasker Road.
So when you said it's going to go down along the frontage of the high school.
We're bringing it southward.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That's the piece I was missing.
Yes.
Thank you.
And just, I need to paint a picture, a little better picture as well. I'm
Certainly.
looking at slide 22. So originally where Warrior Drive comes down in front of Sharando, and then Brandy Lane is the road in the back, correct?
Right here.
It's right there, okay.
Yes.
So then I remember running on that, I think, when I ran cross-country. So That is going to be completely finished out all the way to 277?
That's correct.
In 2 lanes or 4? That's going to be the 2 lanes?
That would be a two-lane
2 lanes,
facility,
okay.
although I wouldn't be surprised if, as we get to the intersection with Double Church,
Yep.
that it would be extra turn lanes and that sort of thing,
Okay.
specific to Brandy Lane. Warrior Drive, I'm not expecting additional improvements out at the intersection, but there's also a lot going on out there because there's going to be VDOT required improvements of that commercial development as it goes in. And we have another, actually, smart scale application, which we got approved, gosh, 4 or 6 years ago now, that was to extend the right turn lane when you're traveling eastbound on 277 right now. If any morning that spills over. So we had gotten an application approved some years back. It just takes a long time for the money to get here, to significantly extend that right turn lane to turn south into Sharando High School. And that also included some bicycle and pedestrian improvements down along Warrior itself. Now, how those are all getting married up, I know that VDOT, as they work with that commercial site, they're trying to leverage those different pieces together to get kind of, frankly, the most they feel like they can out of the development while not wasting any of the state money. So I'm not in a great spot to say exactly what that's going to look like today.
Okay. Lots of moving parts, it
There
sounds
are,
like.
yes.
Talking about these moving parts, though, the Brandy Lane improvement, when are you expected to start on that, and then how long will it take?
So one sort of good thing, it's still not a fast situation. We would be looking at this first, assuming, once again, the board authorizes us to enter into it, because they're putting themselves on the hook a little bit, because even if that second round application doesn't get approved, the county is still obligated. So
Right.
that's meaningful for them in their decision-making. But we're looking at 2 years before VDOT starts putting, it would be a VDOT managed project, so before they start putting design and engineering into it. If we get a second award, that would then be a further 2 years out. So you're probably easily today 4 years from construction compared to if we were applying for smart scale for it next summer, we're talking more like 7, 8 years. So
Okay.
a little faster, not fast.
Got it.
Just a couple quick questions. So as a board and as a school system, we want to be good neighbors as well.
Sir.
Has there been any talks with the landowners, I guess, on the left side of the screen, that where they would come through, that they know that road would be coming through their property?
So in this situation, as I understand it, most of the right-of-way for Brandy Lane itself is there. Part of that is due to past efforts by the Bowman Shoemaker property back, frankly, way back when, and Wayne Lee can talk to this as well. There have been many back and forth with that ownership and their engineers over the years. They were talking about rezoning it for years before they ended up moving the direction they did. And they had taken actions to consolidate and provide right-of-way and that sort of thing. So a lot of that's available. There would still, since it is a private lane, need to be agreements. And it's actually the Bowman Shoemaker property that provides the right-of-way for Warrior itself, or at least a meaningful chunk of it. Like I said, I don't want to act like we're not going to end up needing anything from the school. But it's not, we're not in right-of-way phase yet, so no, not significant, but those are activities that have taken place.
And then my second question would be, what would trigger Warrior Drive moving from 2 lanes to 4 lanes out there? Is it kind of like what they have up by Snowden Bridge, with the amount of traffic coming through? Are they going to put sensors out there?
That one's a little different because that was fully proffered. It was a road that frankly ended up becoming envisioned because of that rezoning, and the area it went through. However, here, as I would envision it could be a couple things. One, if we started to have significant development to the south that was implementing the even further portion of Warrior Drive, and the anticipated traffic was going to be getting to that point where it would be affecting it and the need to 4 lanes for capacity. Honestly, that's probably about the only scenario I see sitting here today, because otherwise, between the school and even though we're not, I think, any of us thrilled about what's happening right next door to the school, between those two things, you are not going to hit the need for a four-lane facility. So it would take significant activity to the south to trigger something like that.
Okay. There's no more questions. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, John, and thank you, Wyatt, for being here tonight to give us an opportunity to talk through those items. I'll make sure you can still hear. Oh, yeah, this works great. So want to stand in front of you. I wanted to follow up with you tonight about the Indian Hollow Elementary School open space agreement. Last time I was talking with you, I explained the difference between disturbing ground and paying for nutrient credits versus giving or signing off, the board would sign off on an open space maintenance agreement. I want to remind everyone that the open space maintenance agreement is basically a conservation easement. I also want to remind everyone that after going out, taking a careful walk around and look and talking with Wayne as well, there's a significant slope on the piece of property we're talking about, probably about a 20-foot slope. So it's not property that we really have any plan to use, and it would take a significant amount of earth moving for us to be able to really use that space. So keep that in kind of mind. I also realized that the last time I stood in front of you, I think I mentioned it could cost up to $70,000 for the nutrient credits. Price tag is 50% off tonight. I just want to make sure everybody knows. That's due to the fact that some additional nutrient credit banks have opened, which has driven the price to a different place. But as I stand before you today, the cost for that nutrient credit would be $34,278. We can't close the project out until we make a decision with your help on which of these two things to do. I do also want to remind everyone that if we decide to move forward with the open space maintenance agreement for that piece of property, we can change our minds and buy those nutrient credits later at whatever costs they are at that point in time. This is a picture of the school just to remind everyone where we're talking about. If any of you went out, and I'm sure you have been to Indian Hollow, it's a beautiful school, it's a beautiful community, wonderful space there. That treed area in the back is where the Charlie Maple Trail is, the CMT trail that has the rock with all the kids signed and the staff there. Basically, the trail meanders through this piece of property that is that easement. So just if that helps at all. You see the trees right behind the kind of hole in the ground. That's what we're talking about. We have multiple pictures for your review. That's another look there, looking back across the other side of the school. It's that treed area in the back of the facility. There it is again from a higher view, past the playgrounds, all the way in that back corner. You can almost see that rock there in that picture beyond the school. And then here it is in a map form. You kind of see that bottom salt and peppered kind of area, and as it goes around, kind of let your mind focus on that, your eyes rather focus on that for a minute, and I'll go back a slide. Now you know where I'm talking about, I believe. See the area designated there with the marks, and if I go back one slide, again, it's the treed area. So I hope that that paints a very clear picture for you of where we're talking about in terms of the piece of property that belongs to the board. We do not have the intent to use that piece of property for a project in the future. Again, there's a pretty decent slope there, so it's not conducive to doing a whole lot. We just did do a really nice improvement at that school that I know the community's proud of and we're all proud of. So we have to make a decision tonight. There's either an open space maintenance agreement that needs to be signed, or the board would need to authorize the expense of $34,278 to purchase the nutrient credits. Again, those can be removed later. The open space maintenance agreement can be removed and we can buy that, but it would be at the cost, which could be less, could be more, for those nutrient credits. The superintendent's recommendation, Dr. Hummer, if I may state that for you, is that we recommend that the committee moves the approval of the open space maintenance agreement to the full board for approval rather than buy the nutrient credits. Glad to answer any questions you may have and try to help with any thoughts.
So I'm going to skin my ignorance here. I could probably pull it up on Google, but then I would only know about it. So just for the public consumption as well, an OSMA, Open Space Maintenance Agreement, we're essentially agreeing not to use that for anything other than just conservation, should we enter
correct.
into it, right?
That's correct.
That's it, okay. So should we purchase these credits, then we would be able to use that space for something else,
We could.
if we
That's
wanted
right.
to.
That's
Okay.
right.
But right now, as you stated, we have no intention on expanding to that area. We like the green space, we want to keep it as is.
That's correct. And it
Okay.
is also, just to remind everyone, the space that the Charlie Maple Trail exists on at this
Yeah.
current time. We have no plan for the foreseeable future to use that for something other than that.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so my only thing would be on that trail, we'd still be able to do maintenance to the trail, add more mulch, or who's actually taking care of that? The Boy Scouts are, right?
Right
I
now,
know they
it's
build
Trex.
it.
So Trex came out as a partnership with the school. Frederick County Sheriff's Office also came out, and they did a lot of work on that trail.
there has been Boy Scout activity in the past on that trail, probably Eagle Scouts and other scouts, Boys and Girl Scouts, probably at their various projects and things like that out in that community. But that's who has improved it, and it was improved right before it was dedicated as the Charlie Maple Trail. I would also defer to Caitlin or anyone else on my team if there's any other thoughts about that land that we need to discuss with the board. I'm not aware of any.
Mr. Chair,
Okay.
if what you're alluding to, can we add mulch and provide maintenance? That's not my understanding. My understanding is we couldn't do any sort of construction on this land is my understanding, Ms. Jordan. If we need to look into that, we can, but that was my understanding.
That is my understanding as well. However, I do have a call in with somebody with the DEQ, and I will confirm with them. Hopefully, they will call me back before tomorrow's meeting, but I will try to confirm that once again with DEQ, that is in fact the case.
We'll make sure we clear that up before we would ask the board to sign the document.
Okay.
Okay. I'd be happy to move forward with this. Not only are we not planning on doing anything with this for a while, it's also going to save the taxpayer $34,278. But looking at that side of the county, it's not like we're building a lot of houses or anything out there. So I don't think if we had to expand any of our elementary schools, this would be on top of the list.
Currently, that's true.
Yeah, currently, the way they're building.
You don't know. We don't know,
But yeah, so I would be happy to find out that information tomorrow. But for now, I would like us to be moving that to the full board. There's no other questions. We have a recommendation. Looking for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we advance to the full board that we enter an open space maintenance agreement as opposed to the nutrient offset.
Second.
Had a motion's been properly seconded. Any discussion?
No, I just, Mr. Goodwin, thank you for getting us the answer about whether it's in perpetuity. That gives me less pause about it, especially knowing that 10 or 15 years from now, we can always revisit it if we need to.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that ends discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes.
Thank you for the opportunity to present to you. At this time, I'm going to invite Mr. Tim Conlon to come forward. Mr. Conlon is going to provide an update to the weapons detection system and next steps. As you know, the Safety and Security Department has been a busy department lately with many things that we've had. So I want to thank you all for the opportunity we have to talk with you about that. I know he's excited to talk with you about the steps we've taken to increase safety and support our students. Thank you, Mr.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Hummer. So as you know, approximately June 26th, we started our rollout program with the pilot program at Doll J. We had approximately 275 students. We moved on from that where we started it again with the start of school at August 15th. We had 200 students. We have 2 units going through those, or two units that we use to bring all the students through. They all come through the same door. Some of the items that we've learned that cause alerts are, we knew our Chromebooks would cause issues, but the larger water bottles, the giant Stanleys, and the metal 3-ring binders, all kind of stuff that we were informed of. Sometimes it alerts, sometimes it doesn't. We've since worked through that. One of the things we do know is that within 7 days of putting these in, we're pretty much on time with getting all our kids in the building. We've kind of worked out most of the issues that we see, and then within 3 weeks' time, it's just like they never existed. The kids just flow through. Right here we have some of the training. Ben Thompson and Caden Thorogood provided some of the training to our Millbrook staff. They were able to just kind of go over some of the issues that they had and some of the ways to set it up, what they found worked best for them. So one of the things we work on, as you know, we have the Raptor systems in our school, and one of the things in partnership with Frederick County Sheriff's Department is we now look at what's called the CAN report. It's conditions, actions, and needs. And we also applied that, as you know, moving forward with the September 10th and 11th issues that we had. Our condition was that we had a student who left the school, went home, obtained a firearm, and then went out into the community. Based on that and some of the other threats that we had with internet threats and social media threats, the board recommended that we move forward with the pilot program at Millbrook. Initially, if we can move on to the...
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. The rollout began on September 12th. We had 4 units. We have a single unit at the front door, which is our secured entrance for late students or visitors to the school. We have 2 units at the student entrance and then 2 units on our commons entrance. Day one, we had kids lined up outside. First day, we only had 3 units set up, 2 at the student entrance. We were about 35 minutes out getting kids in after school started. By day 2, we were down 20 minutes. By day 3, we were down 30 minutes. I'm sorry, by day 5, we were down 30 minutes. Day 7, which was Friday, kids all were in except kids that were coming in late by 7:50. School starts at 7:55. So within a week, between the staff at the school and all our volunteers within the SBO, we've managed to get them right on time. Now there's still going to be some, odds and ends to figure out, but it's really come a long way. One of the things that we did figure out is that we have tables set up, and rather than just have kids flag every time they come through, they now put their Chromebooks, their 3-ring binders, and their metal water bottles into a tray, just like TSA. They pass it forward. As long as they get through, they move on. They grab their things, and they're right into class. I think on Friday we might have had maybe a dozen kids out of the entire school that set the metal detector off. So it's really come a long way. The staff there has done an incredible job. As far as moving forward and what our next steps are, so we're looking to move forward with the implementation at Jameswood and Sharando. Our timeline, our target would be for mid-October for Sharando, and then mid-November for Jameswood. Some of the things that we're seeing that we need moving forward is we have 4 sets of Chaya weapon detection systems. We're really looking at probably 5 to be most efficient. That'll include our wands for the schools and everything that goes with it. We're going to need bins moving forward. I just went to Walmart and bought, they were $6 a piece. They were just little plastic bins. They work great. So there wasn't a large cost associated with that. And we're going to need to have a discussion as far as the board and with our principals as far as staffing needs, with duties and possible stipends or some kind of supplemental funding. Moving forward, we're going to continue to just monitor the progress, see how it goes. What we're recommending today and what the superintendent is asking for is that the committee sends approval of the expanding weapons detection system for both Sharando and Jameswood High School, based upon the timeline that we've provided.
Mr. Chair, quick question. Mr. Conlon, thank you and your team for rolling these out so quickly. As you and I have discussed, I'm very passionate about these, and I would love to see them instantly at all of our facilities, but I know that things take time. That being said, just a quick question regarding the water bottles and the 3-ring binders and the laptops as they're put into that bin.
Mm-hmm.
Are they screened after that for weapons?
So as they come through, the staff are checking those.
Okay.
So we're shaking water bottles,
Shaking
we're kind
water
of
bottles.
looking inside binders, that kind of thing.
Okay, that was, the shaking of the water, there's some things you could sneak into a water bottle,
Most
so,
definitely.
okay, great, thank you.
Any other questions?
I do have just a couple follow-ups, if that's okay.
Sure.
First one is, so you guys seemingly rolled this out at Millbrook, like, quite literally overnight. And I don't know if that was just expediting because we already had them on hand, but thank you for doing that. You said that there were about a dozen hits on Friday, things caught. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the items that were flagged?
So anyone who has teenagers know that just because you say something a dozen times as they're standing in front of you, they don't necessarily listen. And by and large, the majority of what came through for positive on the machines was kids that just didn't pull their binders out or water bottles.
Great.
So, Yeah.
So, and the reason I ask that is because in the past, having especially used some of the handheld versions, the wand versions of these, and having to adjust sensitivity, is the idea that we eventually get to a place where we're picking up things like metal heating elements and vapes, where we're picking up smaller metal items?
So the machines do have that capability, but one of the things you have to keep in mind is the minute we do that, now we're gonna go back to that 40-minute timeline of getting kids in past when we're supposed to start. So we have to kind of make a decision as a division whether our goal is to rule out weapons or to go all the way into, yeah, we're going to look at this for vapes.
Great.
Because if you start looking at it from a vapes perspective, we're going to have kids standing outside for a long time and a lot of unhappy parents. Now, I know that, they're detrimental to our kids' health, but again, it's the lesser of two evils.
Of course, yeah, scope and intent for sure. And then one other question, and this is something I'd spoken with Mr. Atkins about before, was the staffing is something that I'm paying very close attention to because it's something that we get feedback from the different buildings. When you say staff, can you tell us now who is it that is supervising and running these detectors in the buildings where they're in
So
operation?
teachers are running them with an administrator, depending on, at Dial J, it's multiple administrators because they have the ability to do that in the way they're set up. With Millbrook, ideally, you could get away with one, but just because it's a new program, they've had their entire staff there every morning. Again, they're just doing a fantastic job with this rollout.
Great. And this might be something, Ben, that you might be able to tell us more about. Is this, hey, folks, if you're interested in helping us, please come and help? Or is this a mandatory expectation that our instructional staff is manning these things?
I'll let Caden speak to that because he's kind of implemented that for us.
Good evening, everybody. So in reference to who's supporting the detection process each morning in our building, as I think Tim has highlighted, two different beasts that we're talking about. Dial J's accepting far fewer students on a daily basis than is Millbrook. So our experience is going to be a little bit different than what they've experienced over at Millbrook. But the setup process is something that is slightly involved. So we lean heavily on our school security officer to set the detection gates up in the morning. And then we have a structured duty schedule that compels a slightly higher number of staff members to be at the entrance of the school in the morning than we previously had. So approximately, it takes 3 to 4 staff members to run each gate respectively, kind of depending on the circumstances. We're in a situation to where we don't really have to use a passing of tray type scenario because we can intake students at a slower rate than can the high school. But ultimately, 3 to 4 staff members per gate, and that's something that we need them to be there for. So they're showing up, and that's a part of their duty.
Great. So, the reason I'm really drilling into this is because duties are already pretty expansive, right? And if we're putting these folks on duty at metal detectors, we're taking them from somewhere else. And so I don't know, Dr. Hummer, if this is something that maybe you can help us get a better grasp on. But I'd be interested to know how this differs at Millbrook and whether Altendorf maybe can tell us more about that. But I continue to have a very strong concern, borderline objection to the idea that we have our teachers facilitating these machines. That's not the intent. And based on some of the feedback that we get from them, we always want to prepare for the worst, right, and hope for the best. And I've got to sympathize with the social studies teacher who says, "Hey, Brian, I'm going to be manning this metal detector, and I hope I don't find anything, but I might." That's not what we sign up for, and so I am interested to know, especially as somebody who feels strongly about school security. Mr. Collin, you and I have talked about this a lot. There's nothing I won't say yes to. My only hesitation from the beginning here is how we staff these things.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Erskine. And we thought about this very thoroughly when we were talking about bringing these weapons detections forward. And quite honestly, that was the biggest topic of conversation because we were all in agreement that we want to keep our schools safe. We were also in agreement that we want to have another layer of safety and security to prevent anything horrible happening within our schools because this is not the end all be all. And Mr. Conlon did a great job explaining that, and we've done a great job explaining that in that this is not the only thing we do in regards to keeping our schools safe. We have multiple layers of support in our schools. We have our staff who is trained. We have our threat assessment process. We have multiple layers. And to your point, I would agree that we want to make sure that we're not adding on additional things to teachers' plates, but I would not disagree, but just to maybe think about it differently, we are all responsible for school safety. All of us. So if you do have a kid in your class that you know they have something in their book bag or you see something in their book bag, we can't walk away and just hope that I didn't just see that. Like and I was a teacher once too, where we have to have those multiple layers of making sure that our schools are safe. So, however, what I would agree with you on is that we want to make sure that we are compensating our staff and that we aren't adding on additional stressors. But unfortunately, this is where we are in 2024, unfortunately. We want to focus on teaching. We want to focus on learning. We want to focus on the opportunities for kids. We want to focus on all these things. But when we say safety is our priority, safety is our priority. Because without safety, we don't have all those other things. So it is an all hands on deck at this particular moment in time because we have to get this done. Now, the other layer to this is, if this is the interest of the board, and we can talk through this, if we want to add security officers at all of our schools, that is going to be a significant price tag. One of the things that we have spoke about with the principal, actually all three high school principals, and Mr. Goodwin can chime on this if you need him to, is in regards to what that stipend would look like of providing these teachers with a stipend, because we are acknowledging the fact that this is additional work, and it's not okay. But we do have, as Mr. Conlon has mentioned, we have really great staff. I have not met a single staff member, unless they're saying it behind my back, that doesn't care about safety and doesn't care about making sure we have these layers in place. They want to step up and help out, but we definitely want to compensate them if this is going above and beyond of what should be expected of them. Everybody in the school has a duty. Everybody in the school has something, as you know, Dr. Erskine, and this is one of their duties that they do. But if this is something that we decide that, you know what, we do need to add on a stipend, we'll do that, absolutely. Or if we do want to add more security officers to each of the schools, that is going to be a significant price, but that's something we can also look into as well. Because one of the things, just with the complexities of the sheriff's office and the school system, the sheriffs can't run that. Due to numerous reasons, as you can imagine. However, if something is found, that they can interject and they can step in and help out. So we just have to be careful with that as well. So it's a balance, right? And we want to make sure that we're very clear that we respect and appreciate all of our teachers and all of our staff, but at the same time that we have to determine where we're going to go to make sure that we make this happen is kind of where we're at right now.
Do you, and if you don't know, it's totally okay. Has there been any kind of conversation or pushback at either Dalje or Millbrook from staff members who would prefer not to be
I don't
participating?
know if you have.
So-
Yeah, but
Yeah, and I don't mean to step on Tim at all, but I can speak to that. Just to add a little bit of clarity, the searches are conducted by administrators, so members of our administrative team. So our teachers are just facilitators in getting students through the gates. From our perspective, it's become quite a competition even amongst our staff of, we actually have two members of our staff who stand outside the two different doors that enter into Dalje, and they've purchased clickers to count how many people walk through their doors, and they compete to see how many students they can recruit to come through their doors. So we've taken something that could be perceived as problematic, troubling, and turned it into something that puts smiles on kids' faces. And it's something that the staff is happily showing up to do. So they're not in the position necessarily to find that problem, and they've turned it into a charismatic experience that they connect with kids on. So it's been pretty fun.
Mr. Chair, if I may, our staff, they're resilient, Dr. Erskine, and I know you know that. And they're willing to step up and help out. So if there is additional things that we can do to add on that incentive, we're willing to do that. It is going to cost money, though, typically when you look at incentives, and we're absolutely more than happy to do that and look into that. But so far, what we've experienced is our staff are willing to help out and step up because, again, they're part of keeping our schools safe. So.
Dr. Hummer, if I could add as well, if you don't mind. We have had some great conversations with our principals, Dr. Erskine. We've met the other day just with Ben and also the principal and administrative team from Millbrook. But part of it is, what does compensation look like? Because if everyone does have a duty, and it's that time-bound duty, 15 minutes of duty, then all things aside, 15 minutes is 15 minutes. But if it's going beyond those 15 minutes, does that look like something else? And we have also, just to add, we've partnered with Louisa County as well. So I know that Mr. Conlon's spent time down there. I think some of our principals went as well, and administrators down to Louisa. They do offer a stipend or supplement to folks who run those things, and they vary in dollar amount based on position, and they do it by semester. So we want to include the teachers in the conversation with their leaders, their principals and administrative staff, because sometimes compensation looks like money, sometimes compensation looks like time. So what is it that teachers need to be compensated with? But one of the things we know is it needs to look consistent across those facilities. If one person's getting that, but someone else is doing that at another one of our schools and not getting anything, that's not okay either. So we want to make sure that so the principals are talking with their staff, listening, and they're going to bring back some recommendations to me that I can provide those to Dr. Hummer, and Tim can help me get those as well.
Yeah, I would be really interested to know when Karen and Shelley give that feedback, what kind of things their staffs are saying at Sharanda and
They have
James
been
Wood.
great. I just want to echo the compliments we did roll this out overnight. It was challenging.
Yeah.
Dr. Hummer said, hey, can we get this going? And they were eager to say, yes, let's get it going. So they've learned a lot of lessons. We've all been over and watched them. Ben and Caden trained them. It was quite an organizational thing, but it's the right thing. While we wrestle with whether we give a stipend or a supplement, we have to be diligent and stand at that line and make sure no one brings a weapon through into one of our schools. So we have to just keep going, and we will figure that out and make sure that we get back with you all on that.
I'll share just one other piece of feedback from the eyes and vantage point of a 14-year-old family member. His report was something to the effect of, yeah, it took a while, but they're really trying. And in the eyes of a 14-year-old, that is a high compliment, and I appreciate you.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I appreciate you for keeping the kids safe, and you'll continue to have my support every step of the way.
Thank you. And just something else to keep in mind, whatever direction we take on the stipends, is remember, at some point, it's not just 3 high schools, it will be 21 schools. So, when we have this discussion, it's just important, I think, to keep that in mind, that it can add up very quickly.
Just one more quick question. Mr. Conlon, can you walk us through what happens if something is found on a student, whether it be a knife, a gun, whatever
So
it
at
may
Millbrook, what we're doing and what I've seen throughout other divisions is the staff actually man the machines, teachers. So as a student goes through with their backpack on, if it goes off, one of the staff members at the machine will bring it over to a table, they open it up, and they just move through it. And what they're looking for is a firearm or something that could harm other staff or students with. If something is found, they hold on to that bag, they'll radio for an SRO, and then the SRO will come over, and at that point, they'll take over. Because if it's going to be a firearm or, a heavy, something that would harm someone, so it's already, they've broken the law. Mm-hmm. So it ends there on the staff's portion.
Gotcha. Great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Just a couple of things from me. I know it's going to be long-winded on this topic, but it's important. I came here on September 11th when we had the meeting, and I wanted to say thank you to you, the administration, all the principals, and everybody who were here taking this very seriously, the security of the students here at FCPS. Thanks to Ben and his team. For getting this kind of rolled out and, doing the trial by fire training with Millbrook so that we could help eliminate some of those threats that were presented to us. Couple questions. What was the name of the grant that we originally got the machines through?
I'm going to have to look that one up. I apologize. We've been dealing with quite a few grants.
If you give me 2 seconds, I can tell you the grants
Yeah.
that we have. Just
Oh,
keep
that would be
talking. Yep.
fantastic. Thank you.
And then, as we're rolling out these other Chaya systems, how are we paying for those? Are those with grant dollars? Are those with local dollars?
This next batch is going to be local dollars, and we're hoping that we're going to free up some grant funds we're going to need more than we're getting ready to order. So.
Okay. As far as, go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I got it. So it was the Title IV Stronger Connections Grant.
That's it.
We also had a security equipment grant and school safety and security grant. So they were state grants that Tim has done an amazing job with Mrs. Williamson to find these dollars to add to these additional safety layers in our schools. So, and thank you to Mrs. Cameron and her team for getting me that information.
And I guess, are those grants we can apply for every year?
So those are multi-year grants. So when they end, we'll have to reapply for them. Generally, they get smaller incrementally as you apply for them.
Okay. As far as supplemental funding, ballpark figure?
For
I guess
the
the
division or
incentive?
for the next purchase?
No, supplemental funding as far as incentive,
You mean stipends?
stipends.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It was supplemental funding on the list.
Are you talking about for staff members that are,
Manning,
so in Louisa, some of the examples for that could be $500 per semester for each person that works at each one of those spots. That'd be $1,000 a year. Now, that doesn't include the person who would be the team member there's someone who runs the whole program.
Right.
So whoever that person is, we'd have to ask Louisa what that person pays. And I'm not suggesting we do what they do, but that is the only data point that Mr. Conlon and I have at this point in time to compare it to. So I'm not suggesting that's what we do. I'm just saying that's what they do.
Right,
We
yeah,
have
we
some more
only have
discussions to make.
so much information to look at.
Yes, but that is what I have read. That is what Louisa shared with us as they rolled out these programs was $500 per semester.
And I can reach out to the other divisions if you'd like that information and see if they're willing to share that with us.
Yeah, it'd be great. That way we can get a pool of good ideas, and then see what we like and what we don't like and what works for us. That would be great. As far as the SROs are involved, where actually are they stationed? If not to give away anything, but if we've got multiple entry points into the school, are they a central spot?
So they're generally floating. You'll find them at any one of the doorways throughout the morning.
Okay.
Mr. Atkins, if I could add to that, part of our agreement is that we do not tie down our SROs because it is their responsibility to move throughout the building, and we have that agreement with the sheriff's office to make sure they are available as needed. But they won't be in the same spot every time.
Nope.
But they're on the same radio
They are.
channel and
That's
everything,
correct.
so we can get a hold of them.
They also have one of our radios.
Good deal. And then next would be, to Dr. Erskine's point, with the vapes and stuff. I know, yes, we don't want to bog down the school day by turning up the intensity and picking up everybody's belt buckles, keys, and other things. This is a weapons detection system, first and foremost. But every now and then, can we do random checks and turn it up, kind of surprise
Most certainly.
students? Because as those water bottles are full, they could also hold other things. Or, have something else in our pockets. And next, I guess, would be something that we would have to bring maybe there's something to look at for the instruction committee, because we talked about bell schedules. With the Chaya systems going in, I know we've gotten the time down to almost perfect, but that would be something I'd like to look at when we go and present the new bell schedule. As far as we're looking at that, and then we'll have to adjust it as we implement them in other schools, junior highs, elementaries, so on and so forth. But other than that, I want to say thank you again to you, your staff, the staff here at FCPS for,
Thank you.
getting on board with this. I know I made late calls that night on the 10th to these guys, and it was a big team collaborative effort, in order to keep everybody safe. So thank you to everybody involved.
Thank you very much.
All right, so this is going to be an action item. We have the superintendent's recommendation before us. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that we move to the full board the approval of expanding the weapons detection system units at Sharando High School and Jameswood High School based upon the timeline provided to the full board for approval.
Second.
I have a motion that's been properly seconded. All those in favor, or any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Motion passes. Going to the full board.
All right, so I want to thank Mr. Conlon and also Ben and Caden for being here tonight to talk with us about weapons detection systems. At this time, Ms. Chapman's coming up from the Finance Department, and Tiffany's going to talk to us first about the RFP process so we can spend some time talking about how that works for the division and also talk about a contract award for dry and frozen food. So thank you, Ms. Chapman.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Dr. Hummer, thank you for letting me come and talk with you about the RFP process. This committee and the board in general, we get a lot of IFBs through, but not a whole lot of RFPs come through the division. The process is similar, but not quite the same, so I want to talk you through that today. As with a IFB, the threshold is the same. We usually go $200,000 and above. And that process is for negotiation. It's not just low bid like an IFB would be. So for the RFP, we usually start, myself and the account manager we'll have a discussion about what we want to put the RFP out for. What service are we looking for? With an RFP, the specifications are typically more broad than with an IFB. IFBs tell you exactly what we're looking for and exactly how we want it. RFPs are more broad and kind of looking for a suggestion from the vendor on how to meet or exceed our need. So the purchasing department and the account manager will have a discussion. We'll create the IFB document, the RFP document, and we put things in there like when is the RFP due, how long is the contract going to be for, what are the renewal periods, what product or service are we actually looking for. And then we're also going to include evaluation criteria. When the RFPs come in, we're going to look through those and evaluate them. So we have to let the vendors know how they're going to be evaluated. And then we typically also add a schedule. So when's the RFP going to be posted? When are they due? When are we going to have negotiations? And then when are we going to award the contract? When we do post the RFP, we do post that on eVirginia, which is the state procurement site, as well as our FCPS website. So all of the RFP documents are out there for vendors to go and download and read through so that they can create their proposals. And then once we receive all the proposals in, I typically go through those first to make sure that the vendors have met all of the criteria that we're looking for, all of the documents are signed and submitted. And then I will distribute those out to our RFP committee. So typically on an evaluation committee, we're looking for a good cross-section of departments, to kind of represent definitely the stakeholders that are from, where the service is going to affect. Sometimes we'll have principals sit in or finance or anybody who might be affected by the service. So once everything is reviewed by those committee members, they will give it a score. That score would have been in the RFP document for the vendors to review prior to submitting, so they know what section is worth what points, if you will. So then once we've done that, we gather that information together and we'll select the highest ranking offerer at that time. And then we invite those folks to come in and do a presentation for us. So the committee will gather, we'll have the vendors in, we'll give them an allotted time. We'll ask them for some clarification on things, and they'll be able to come in and give us more information about what they've submitted in their proposal. Once that process is complete, we do rank the offerers again based on the presentation and the proposal, and then we determine who we want to make our contract award to. Some of the RFPs come in and we'll award to one vendor, and sometimes we award to multiple vendors, just depending on what service we're looking for. And then once we've made that decision, then we do go and sit down with the vendor and try to negotiate, any outstanding items that we might have. Could be price, could be, other things within the proposal that we liked or didn't like and, we want to change around. RFPs are not awarded based on low price. They are based on best value. So in that same kind of vein there, the task order is done through an RFP. The purpose of the task order is to engage one or more A&E firm to provide investigation, cost estimates, design, and related services for multiple small projects within the term. In general, the term is 1 year. The advantages of that for us are a reduction in cost and time with advertising. It does take some time to do an RFP, generally 90 to 120 days, to allow for us to advertise, receive the proposals, get them reviewed, and of course, get them to the board for approval. It also allows for a quicker response time from the A&E. Generally, the A&Es are familiar with the school division, familiar with some of our buildings, and so they're able to react more timely. Our current vendor, as you know, is RRMM. Their initial term was 1 year with 4 one-year renewal options. Our current term will expire at the end of December. And we do have 1 renewal remaining. So our contract will officially expire at the end of December 2025. Whenever we do a renewal, which is every year we do the renewal, we go out and we'll communicate with whoever's involved. So construction, planning, facilities, and try to get their feedback on the vendor. We want to know, how's the performance? Were there any issues? Is there anything we need to consider when we're moving into the renewal? And we, get their approval to move forward with that renewal. If we were to choose not to renew with the vendor, then we can end the contract at the end of that 1-year term. But we would need to know that pretty quickly because we would need to initiate another RFP process, which again can take that 90 to 120 days. The most recent evaluation that we had with the stakeholders determined that we should continue until the expiration of the contract. So, any questions for me?
Questions? Questions?
Actually, I do, and I've asked this before, and I still have a hard time grasping my mind around the task order. It seems like that task order encompasses so much, and our RMM have been great to provide everything that we've asked for. I know that they did some draw-ups for the Middletown expansion, the Jordan Springs expansion, to kind of give us some idea of what to look at, what we would be presenting to the Board of Supervisors. I guess I'm just still curious, what is their scope of work? It seems to be a lot. And at what point do they say, sorry, that's not within our scope of work? I would just be curious to see what a contract looks like to kind of determine exactly what they can and cannot do.
Okay. I'd have to pull that information out to see what the full scope is. It is pretty large, but again, typically design, reviews of things, looking at plans, cost estimates, those types of things are the general scope. I could defer to maybe facilities or Kevin. Do you have a?
I'll do the best I can. See if I can help you out here. If we're just talking about a task order for planning and construction, normally it's pretty specific, actually. It's A&E, architectural and engineering.
Okay.
So when you get into that, so there's different phases you go through, conceptual designs, things like that. So all that falls under in your architectural side of it. The engineering component, they have engineers on staff that they bring to that. Then you have your next group, which your MEP, your mechanical, electrical, plumbing. Those engineers are staffed, or they work in conjunction with another group. So when we're talking someone like RRMM as a task order contract, they're specifically doing our A&E work, architectural and engineering, civil engineering, things like that. That's their lane, basically, there. Now, if we're doing a task order like we're under right now, there's another part that they don't do is, let's say it's our commissioning and our geotechnical and things like that. We have another group that we go out and solicit for those. And I think we just got about 11 proposals that we're reviewing as a team, again, to get to this process that Tiffany just laid out. So that's another different task order group that's over here. It has nothing to do with RRMM over here at all. So that's another third-party inspections that we have out here for all of our structural and things like that. Things that the county doesn't do, we have to employ a third-party engineering and construction inspection firm to
So we
do
could
that.
have multiple task order contracts in progress for various
For
taskings.
various
various things.
that's it,
Okay.
for various disciplines, yes. So, yes, so our A&E is right now, prior to that, it was OWPR. They carried that for a number of years. They decided not to participate when we advertised it the last time. There was a different group, and you'll get 5 or 6 or sometimes even more A&E firms that come in for our task order. And what that does a lot of times, just like Tiffany said, when we have a project, much like Dow J. Howard, that we're under a tight time constraint with a grant or something like that, that allows us to go right to them and negotiate a contract and get that up and running and get it out on the street quicker for when you're looking at long lead times for rooftop units and things like that. If we had to go through that whole process, 190 to 120 days, then we wouldn't get it done in time. And we have to get extensions, or because we have to have that money encumbered and we have to have that work wrapped up. So it allows us to move quicker on smaller projects. Facilities department uses it a lot for their mechanical, those type of upgrade stuff. It lets us move and stay within timelines to do this. And it's limited there, what we can get done in those timelines. We don't put too much on our task order people because we can have as many as 8 or 10 projects going at a time under a task order between facilities and ourselves like that. And facilities probably uses them more than what we do on there. It could be like a paving road project, and we got to get them to get the civil engineering going and quicker and things like that. So it lets us be a little more mobile, a little quicker, so we can get projects pushed through quicker.
Okay.
Like that. Okay?
Yeah, that helps a bunch. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
All right,
Appreciate
thanks.
it.
A couple questions. The RFP posting. I know we've got hopefully a big project coming up with the 4th high school. Would it be advantageous for us to advertise also on social media and maybe local media outlets? Is that something we can do?
So I'm not familiar with the social media part so much. We did used to advertise in the Winchester Star at one point before more technology came available, and we were posting it on the websites. It is definitely something we can go back to, if that's something the board would like us to do.
To increase the pool of candidates, and even with some of our local vendors, it would, really go a long way to keep, dollars within the community. As far as the top offer presents, I know you were sharing about how the scoring goes and how you get that top offer. Are we just interviewing that top offer? Or that top
Usually,
scorer?
no. Usually, we bring in 2 to 3 of the top scorers.
Okay.
It's going to depend on how many we get. Kevin mentioned for our last task order A&E, we did actually get 14 proposals in. So it's going to depend on how many we get and how many kind of score high. And if it's close, we'll bring in an additional one depending on how close the scoring is.
Definitely. I appreciate that. That actually takes care of my next question then. But is there any way, I guess this would be for Dr. Hummer, I personally would like to see when we go to do those interviews, an invitation for at least Building and Grounds committee chairs to come in for those interviews, especially with something like the 4th high school, bigger projects like that.
So, couple things. The first thing is, that I'm very transparent, and you guys will get all the information that you need. One of the things that would be working against us is based on how many people you want there, because once it gets to 3, then it's no longer a private meeting, it's a public meeting, so we have to be very careful there. In the interview process, I don't want to overstep in regards to what that process looks like, especially since you all are going to be the ones making the final decision. I just want to make sure that we're not overstepping any conflict of interest. I'll be honest, Mr. Atkins, I've never had that request before. I've never seen that because that is not customary because of the order of responsibility from you all approve, I provide you the recommendation. Not saying no. I just think it's going to complicate it. But if the attorneys say that that's something that we can do, I'm not asking for an answer now, please. But that is definitely something we could ask about and talk through. I think one of the things, regardless of what the answer to that is, and I've promised this, and I'm going to continue to promise this, is especially with the fourth high school, when this does get approved, I know we're one step closer, you guys will be part of it every step of the way, as you've been with, and if you see where we've been with our buildings and grounds meetings in regards to the information you received a year and a half ago, 2 years ago to now, you can see that we want you looped into all of these items so that you're part of this particular process. So I can definitely promise that. I would not be comfortable giving you a yes or no to that until we've sought counsel in regards to if that's appropriate or not. I just don't want to overstep in any sort of conflict of interest because it's a big deal. That RFP process is huge, and we're bound by legal terms in regards to that. That I know for a fact. So if we're adding all of these additional people in there, I just want to be very careful, unless you already know the answer to that.
I don't know the answer. It's not something that I've had any dealings with before. I will say that, when we talk about getting up to 3 people and it being a public meeting, it's not something that we could broadcast. These things are highly confidential. We do make the committee sign non-disclosure agreements because we cannot disclose that information, at least until it's awarded. So that's definitely not something that we could, broadcast.
And I understand that, and I can appreciate that. I think it would help, with the interest of transparency, to either have chair, vice chair, or, the chair of building and grounds there. Just one of the 3, since it is a construction type project. I'm not saying for everything, but something as big as the fourth high school, we're putting out millions and millions of dollars in local tax dollars. Yeah, just so that we do have that transparency and that we are there every step of the way, like you're saying. And then we can maybe not be voting on that in the meeting. Don't want to belabor that, but we can bring the information back to our counterparts on the board.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Sure. So again, we'll talk with council on that. I'm not sure where that lands. But anyways, we'll look into that and we'll let you know.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Sure, you're welcome. Any other questions about the RFP or task order? No? Okay. All right, then at this time, we are looking for a motion to forward to the full board a contract award in the amount of $1,707,341.75 to Merchants Grocery for dry and frozen foods.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
for a motion. I'm going to move that we recommend to the full board contract award for Merchants Grocery, Inc. for dry and frozen foods in the amount of $1,707,341.75.
Second.
We've got a motion, and it's been properly seconded. Any discussion? I've got a couple quick questions about this. Were there other folks that bid on this?
Sure, we had 3 bids that we received in. Mhm.
Okay, and this was the cheapest?
This was the low bid, yes, that's correct.
This is the low bid? Just curious on where everybody else kind of landed, or were they close?
Sorry, let me pull it up here. All within $200,000 of each other.
Good deal. All right. So we have a motion properly seconded. No further discussion?
Mr. Chair, you have.
Currently holds contract.
Our current vendor is Merchants Grocery.
Okay, thank you. Other discussion? Motion on table, properly seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? None. Hearing none, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chapman. At this time, that concludes the agenda. I want to thank the team that was here tonight to present to you all. Thank you for the opportunity we had to spend time together. Turn the meeting back over to Dr. Hummer for conclusion. Thank you, Dr. Hummer.
Thank you, Mr. Goodwin. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for this opportunity. I want to thank everybody for coming out. Thank you for the county for coming out as well, talking about Brandy Lane. And if there's any other questions that you have, we'll be more than happy to answer them.
No other questions from the board? All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Chair, I move that we adjourn the Buildings and Grounds Committee meeting for the evening.
Second.
Motion's been made, properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none. Motion passes. We are adjourned.